Part 46. I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 451. The Zerg civilization is the mortal enemy of the angel civilization. As an angel's angel Belle, she is very aware of the existence of the insect tide. The insect tide, said to be an insect tide, is actually a group of low-level insects with low IQs that only know how to kill. These bugs will be used as cannon fodder. They have very low IQs. They can only accept and execute orders, but they never think. If you want to tame a creature, that creature must have a certain level of intelligence. Among creatures, dogs, donkeys, and horses all have a certain level of intelligence, so they can be tamed. But the Zerg warriors in the insect tide simply do not have the intelligence level to be tamed by humans. They are also very violent and only know how to destroy and kill. But now Angel Ling saw with her own eyes that the insect tide had been tamed. Tamed by Chen Hao. She looked at Chen Hao, and Angel Ling's eyes reflected Chen Hao's figure. In the eyes of Angel Belle, Chen Hao became more and more mysterious. Basil struggled desperately, resisting the attack of the insect tide. Chen Hao noticed that Basil's movements began to become laborious. Obviously, the energy possessed by Basil has been almost exhausted. Chen Hao frowned, and he whispered subconsciously, "Will this guy finally use the warp engine to escape?" No, suddenly, a voice sounded in Chen Hao's mind. Hearing this sound, Chen Hao looked at the angel Belle beside him. Angel Ling looked at Chen Hao with a smile. Using the warp engine also requires energy and distraction. Now it has no energy to do it. The insect tide will not give it any time. Hearing this, Chen Hao looked at Basil, who was obviously at the end of his rope. Chen Hao crossed his arms and said, "That's good." Sure enough, Basil could no longer hold on. A Zerg warrior tore off one of Basil's arms with his claws. Other Zerg warriors used their blades to chop off several sections of Basil's body. Angel Ling saw this. "I never thought that the god of the Zerg civilization would one day be swallowed up by the insect tide he released." Hearing this, Chen Hao glanced at Angel Ling, who looked at this scene, but there was no smile on her face, but a slight frown. After the insect swarm destroyed Basil, they completed their mission and flew back to the battleship. Chen Hao watched the insect tide all return to the battleship. Transform the entire battleship turned into cards and was put away by Chen Hao. Chen Hao turned around and looked at Angel Ling behind him. Angel Ling frowned and looked at the place where the battleship disappeared, wondering what she was thinking about. Looking at Angel Ling's expression, Chen Hao said, "What's wrong?" When Angel Ling heard Chen Hao's words, she looked at Chen Hao. "I thought of my angel sisters, many of them were also swallowed up by the insect tide of the Zerg civilization." Hearing this, Chen Hao fell silent for a while. Chen Hao actually wanted to ask, if the technology of angel civilization is so advanced, is there no way to resurrect dead angels? But before he asked, Chen Hao already had the answer. Angel civilization is a civilization that respects nature. And death is also a kind of nature. The resurrection of a dead person is contrary to nature. Therefore, Chen Hao stopped asking and said, "Let's go." With that said, Chen Hao and Angel Ling returned to the deck of the Bai Ling. Landing on the deck again, Angel Belle adjusted her mood and put a smile on her face again. Angel Ling turned her face, looked at Chen Hao, and said with a smile, "Next, you have two choices." "Huh?" Chen Hao looked at Angel Ling. "Choice? What choice?" Angel Ling smiled. "The Bai Ling is the source of my power. It is my home and a very important tool, so I have to protect the Bai Ling. I have to make the Bai Ling invisible and hide it to avoid being discovered by the enemy. If the Bai Ling is destroyed, it will be very troublesome to rebuild it. So." Angel Ling looked at Chen Hao and said with a naughty smile, "You have two options. One is to live with me in the invisible Bai Ling. In order to prevent the Bai Ling from being noticed, you cannot leave the Bai Ling freely, otherwise the position of the Bailing will be easily exposed. Or, call out the God Realm Star. In this way, I can hide the Bailing and live in the God Realm Star, and everything will be fine. Chen Hao raised his eyebrows. Got it? When Chen Hao saw the Bailing, he was still confused. He knew that the Bailing was near the God Realm Star, but he didn't notice it at all. Now Chen Hao finally understands. The Bailing has the ability to become invisible, just like the information processor, it has the ability to become invisible and hide. Chen Hao looked at Angel Ling. Are you planning to go to the God Realm Star? Or stay on the Bailing ship? Hearing this, Angel Ling's eyes glowed with luster. She looked at Chen Hao with a smile on her face but said nothing. Chen Hao noticed Angel Ling's playful smile. There was a hint of doubt in Chen Hao's eyes. What's wrong? Angel Ling showed a playful smile. I have to ask you, do you want me to stay on the God Realm Star? I need to rest now. I don't have a room in the God Realm Star. Can I rest with you? Will you take the opportunity to do something unspeakable to me? Chen Hao rolled his eyes. There are many houses in the God Realm Star. Just find one for you to live in. And I have no interest in the indescribable things you said. Oh. The smile on Angel Ling's face disappeared, and she looked a little more disappointed. Is that so? Chen Hao looked at Angel Ling's expression, raised his head and said, however, the Bailing can be hidden, but the Divine Realm Star cannot. You should be safer on the Bailing. Speaking of this, Chen Hao looked at Angel Ling. You should stay on the Bailing and rest well. When your body recovers, we can talk about other things. Hearing this, Angel Ling looked at Chen Hao and smiled. In that case, even if you want to find me, it is probably difficult to find me. What should I do if you miss me at that time? Chen Hao looked at Angel Ling. I'm very busy and won't miss you. Angel Ling's smile froze. She smiled helplessly. You really don't understand romance. Chen Hao shrugged. I don't know what you are talking about, so I'll leave first. You should rest well. Angel Ling hummed, and she looked at Chen Hao. Chen Hao's figure disappeared on the spot. Angel Ling walked to the edge of the deck, watched Chen Hao fly far away, and watched Chen Hao summon the Divine Realm Star with a card. Seeing this scene, Angel Ling's eyes shone with a gleam, and she smiled. So handsome. It's been more than 3,000 years, and this is the first time I've met such a person. It's really interesting. Angel Ling's smile revealed a hint of interest and joy. Suddenly, there was a pain in her abdomen. Angel Ling's smile froze, and she covered her stomach with her hand. Let's go back and rest first, it's really painful. As she said that, Angel Ling covered her stomach and turned back. Not long after, the figure of the white spirit flashed in the dark space, and then disappeared into the space. It entered the invisible state. I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 452. Chen Hao returned to the God Realm Star. Master Xuanu was staying in Chen Hao's bedroom. She was sitting on the edge of the bed, folding Chen Hao's clothes. Seeing Chen Hao come back, Xuanu put down the folded clothes, stood up respectfully, and looked at Chen Hao. Chen Hao looked at Xuanu, then looked around, but saw no one else. He looked away and looked at Xuanu. Where are Xiadi and the others? When the snow girl heard this, she said, Xiadi and the others saw that the master had left, and felt that the master might have to leave for a long time, so they went to do their own things. What do you mean by your own business? Chen Hao had a hint of doubt in his eyes. Snow Girl said, Xiaoying is currently planning to use quantum detection technology, combined with the ability of the warp engine, to determine the enemy's attack in advance, so as to improve his evasion ability. However, this research has just begun. In order to research it quickly, Xiadi also participated in the research. Hearing this, Chen Hao understood. That technology is why Flago and Angel Bell are able to dodge laser beams. However, they currently do not have this kind of technology. Now if Xiaoying and the others want to continue to improve their strength, they can only improve their strength by obtaining the energy of the planet like Little Diamond. But now, Chen Hao wants to focus on cultivating Little Diamonds, and then consider cultivating other beast masters after the Little Diamonds are cultivated. Because after cultivating the most powerful beast first, both the warp engine and the speed of converting planets into energy will be accelerated. As long as you have a powerful taming beast and improve the functions of the various cards you own, it will be much easier to train other taming beasts later on. Of course, even if Chen Hao wanted to cultivate other beasts, he would not be able to devote so many resources, that is, planets, to cultivate those beasts. Therefore, the best way at present is to spend all resources on one beast, while other beasts can improve their own strength through technology. Just like those angels and Zerg warriors. Hearing that Xiaoying and the others began to study combat skills, Chen Hao showed a relieved smile. Chen Hao wanted to see how much the research of these little guys could help them improve their strength. Now it seems that it takes time, and I can only wait for the time to pass slowly. After Chen Hao returned to the God Realm Star, he stayed in the God Realm Star to rest. Chen Hao was influenced by the eagerness to learn from the beast masters. When he had nothing to do, he would also study technological things. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. It was the morning of the third day that Chen Hao arrived in this new planetary system. A ray of sunlight shines through the window into the room. Chen Hao felt the light in his sleep. His eyelids moved and he slowly opened his eyes. He looked at the familiar ceiling above and slowly raised his eyebrows. "Are you awake?" Suddenly, a voice suddenly sounded. Hearing this sound, Chen Hao's heart moved. He stood up and looked at the source of the sound. Not far away, I saw a figure standing there, with her hands folded across her chest, leaning against the wall, the corners of her mouth raised, and her eyes sizing up Chen Hao. This is a blonde angel, dressed similarly to Angel Belle. But the difference from Angel Belle is that Angel Belle has silver hair and blue eyes, while the guy in front of him is blonde. But from this guy, Chen Hao could feel an aura similar to Angel Belle. Obviously, this guy is also an angel from the angel civilization. Chen Hao looked at this guy. Angel? Angel of angel civilization. The angel smiled. "My name is Lan, and Angel Ling is my companion. The king of angels told me about her injury, so he sent me to assist her. I heard her say that she chose a person here, that person it's you. I just wanted to come over and have a look." Speaking of this, Lan looked Chen Hao up and down, and she touched her chin. "To be honest, I really don't know why that guy Ling is interested in you. You look like an ordinary person, except you look a little bit taller. A bit handsome. Listen to this guy's words, and then look at this guy's eyes as he looks at you." Chen Hao suddenly realized that the guy in front of him was not a serious angel. "Are you angels so immoral?" Chen Hao asked subconsciously. Angel Lan was startled, then she smiled. "Life exists independently, and each life has its own independent character. However, when the lives stay together, the personality will be affected to some extent. I have always been Angel Ling's companion. Her personality is similar to that of Angel Belle. My vision is much higher than that of Angel Belle." As she said this, Angel Lan folded her hands on her chest, raised her proud face slightly, and looked down at Chen Hao with her pair of gems. "I don't think you are qualified to be Angel Belle, partner, but I respect Angel Belle's choice. It seems that there is still a difference. Both Angel Ling and Angel Lan are a little unruly, but Angel Ling is more approachable and gentler than the guy in front of her, while the guy in front of her is rude and arrogant." Chen Hao looked at Angel Lan. "To be honest, I don't like you very much. So, this is my bedroom. I hope you can get my permission next time you come in." With that, he got out of bed and said calmly, "I'm going to change clothes. Please go out." He stared at Angel Lan. Frankly speaking, Chen Hao was not used to dealing with Angel Ling's enthusiasm, but he knew how to deal with such an arrogant angel in front of him. Chen Hao has seen too many impolite guys. When dealing with impolite guys, his response is to be impolite. Angel Lan looked at Chen Hao, she smiled, crossed her arms across her chest, and looked at Chen Hao arrogantly, "What if I don't leave?" Chen Hao frowned. This is the first time Chen Hao has seen this kind of guy. Chen Hao's face turned cold. "Orchid." Suddenly, a voice sounded. Hearing this voice, Chen Hao looked over and saw Ling's figure appearing next to the balcony. She frowned and looked at Lan, with a trace of anger on her face. Lan looked at it and smiled, "Tisk, tisk, tisk, someone saw their little boyfriend being bullied and got angry." With that said, Angel Lan glanced at Chen Hao. She looked at the frowning Angel Ling. She smiled and said, okay, I won't tease your little boyfriend anymore, let's go." She spread her wings behind her and flew away from the balcony under the watchful eyes of Angel Ling and Chen Hao. Seeing this, Angel Ling's frown relaxed slightly, and her eyes fell on Chen Hao. Sorry, her character has always been like this, not very polite. Hearing this, Chen Hao nodded slightly, "It's okay, I don't care that much, but it's you. Your body probably hasn't recovered yet. It would be better to go back and rest more." Angel Ling was startled and said, "My body has almost recovered." As she said that, Angel Ling looked at Chen Hao. Angel Ling is actually not bad in nature, but as an angel, she is too arrogant and disdainful of other lives. Don't be the same as her. Hearing this, Chen Hao looked at Angel Ling, "For your sake, I won't touch her, don't worry." Angel Ling nodded slightly, "I'll go find her and talk to her." Chen Hao didn't say anything, he just watched Angel Bell spread its wings and fly away from his eyes. Watching Angel Ling and Angel Lan leave, Chen Hao's eyebrows stretched slightly. In the angel civilization, they are both angels, but there is still a certain gap in personality. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 453. On the deck of the Bailing, Angel Orchid landed on it. She retracted her wings, turned slightly sideways, and looked behind her. Behind him, Angel Bell also fell down, landing next to Angel Lan. I look at him. He looks no different from ordinary people. How could you fall in love with such a person? Angel Lan looked at Angel Ling in confusion. Angel Ling frowned and said, "Who I like has nothing to do with you." Lan was startled, then she smiled, "That's not to say that, Ling, we are sisters. Now, we have fought side by side for more than 3,000 years. Who do you like? How could it have nothing to do with me?" She crossed her arms and said, "Although I don't understand much, as your sister, I still respect your decision. I decide your choice, but at the same time, I also have doubts." As she said this, Angel Lan looked at Angel Ling. The universe is vast, and in this vast universe, countless civilizations have been born. In these civilizations, handsome men, there are countless men who are more handsome than him and have better personalities than him. Why did you choose him alone? You know, an angel can only choose one person in his life to become a guardian angel. After choosing to become that person's guardian angel, you need to give up everything, and then everything you do needs to be based on him. As the center Angel Lan said, "I don't think he is qualified to let you do this for him." Angel Ling gave Angel Lan a deep look, "You don't understand, and it's useless for me to explain to you." Angel Lan rolled her eyes and shrugged, "If you want to talk like that, then I really have nothing to say. I don't care if you have anything to say. I hope you won't bother him in the future. He doesn't like to be disturbed." Angel Ling said, "If you annoy him, it's the same as annoying me." I hope you understand the consequences of doing so. The smile on Angel Ian's face disappeared, and she looked at Angel Ling. Are you going to turn against me because of him? There was a trace of despair in Angel Ling's eyes, but her eyes were firm. She looked at Angel Lan. You are my comrade in arms, but I hope you don't forget your duty as a guardian angel. You. Angel Ian's eyes narrowed. You took an oath? There was a hint of disbelief on her face. But Angel Bell didn't speak, just looked at her. Angel Lan frowned. I really don't know what's so good about that guy that makes him worthy of your efforts. Okay, I understand. I won't provoke him, okay. After hearing Angel Ian's answer, Angel Ling's expression softened a little. Angel Ling said, my body hasn't fully recovered yet, so I'll leave this to you first. I'm going to rest. Well. Angel Lan looked at Angel Ling's back and watched Angel Ling go back to the house. Angel Lan had a weird look on his face. It's hard to believe, what's so good about him, he just looks like an ordinary human being. As she spoke, Angel Lan withdrew her gaze and looked at the location of the God Realm star. She thought for a moment, then looked in front of her. Blue data of 0 and 1 appeared in her pupils. As the blue data appeared, a blue picture appeared in front of Angel Lan. Connect to Tian Lan, Angel Lan said. A mechanical sound sounded. Connecting, successfully connected. When Angel Lan heard this, she said, show the internal picture of the God Realm star. The blue screen shows the interior of the God Realm star. She could see Chen Hao lying in the bathtub taking a bath. Looking at Chen Hao on the screen, Angel Lan continued, reading the information database of this human named Chen Hao. I want to know what is so outstanding about this guy. Tian Lan has received the order and is reading it. The read was restricted and the read failed. Angel Lan was stunned, and a trace of astonishment flashed in her eyes. Failed to read, lock. Has this guy locked the information database? Angel Lan frowned. This makes me a little surprised. It seems that he is just an ordinary human being, but he can actually lock his own information database. Angel Lan raised her eyebrows and raised the corners of her mouth. But you just want to resist Angel's technology. Tian Lan, analyze his lock and invade his information database. Other side. Chen Hao heard the sound of the information processor. Someone has invaded the information database and has been intercepted. Hearing this voice, Chen Hao frowned. Chen Hao thought with his toes that he knew who did this. Obviously, it's the guy named Angel Lan. That guy is really annoying. The other party invaded again. Hearing this, Chen Hao frowned. What a nasty guy. At the same time, Angel Lan heard the mechanical sound made by Tian Lan. Resolving target's lock. Hearing this, the corner of Angel Ian's mouth rose. It is the simplest thing for angels of the angel civilization to pry into other people's memories. You know how to lock your own information database to avoid prying eyes. Then I will open your lock and invade again. That's it? The performance of your computer is not as strong as mine, so the lock written by your computer is a waste, haha. Angel Lan smiled disdainfully and haughtily. Analysis is in progress. The estimated time is 1 year. Tian Lan's voice sounded. Hearing this voice, Angel Ian's smile froze. Angel Lan put away her smile and frowned slowly. 1 year. The estimated time is 2 years. Angel Lan was stunned. 2 years. The estimated time is 10 years. 10 years? This. Angel Lan frowned. It's getting longer and longer. Normally, it takes some time to explain the other party's lock. The human body stores various information, such as memory, genes, and other information. So, a person is actually an information library. Under normal circumstances, in front of advanced civilizations, a person's information library is completely open, and they can see it if they want. But when civilization develops to a certain level, it can add a barrier to its own information library to prevent others from snooping. And this information library barrier is called a lock in the angel civilization. But this information library barrier is supported by computers, and it can be cracked with a lock. Under normal circumstances, the technological power of angel civilization belongs to the ceiling in the known universe. If the angels want to spy on a person's information library, then that person is a transparent existence in the eyes of the angels, and it is impossible to hide. Using a computer to crack the lock of the life of other civilizations can be done in less than a second at most. But now, Angel Lan found that her computer could not break the lock on Chen Hao's information library at all. Angel Lan was a little unbelievable. Because, this shows that Chen Hao's technological power surpasses the angel civilization. Impossible, this is impossible. Angel Lan frowned. The estimated time is 100 years. The mechanical intelligent voice of Tianlan sounded. Time is increasing, which means that the lock is becoming more complicated. It is so complicated that even with Angel Ian's celestial computer, it cannot be cracked in a short time. How is it possible? Angel Ian's eyes trembled slightly. Although Angel Lan couldn't believe it, the facts were in front of her, and she had no choice but to believe it. I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 454. A being who looks like an ordinary human being, but possesses technology that surpasses angel civilization. Angel Lan frowned. Who is this guy? The technology possessed by the angel civilization is the most powerful technology in the known universe. But now I actually met a being with higher technology than myself. This made Angel Lan a little unbelievable. Tianlan, cancel the invasion, Angel Lan said. Instruction received, the invasion has been cancelled, a mechanical voice sounded. Angel Lan looked at Chen Hao, who was taking a bath in the screen in front of him. It seems that you are not an ordinary person, Angel Lan said aloud. You are so rude. Suddenly, a voice sounded in Angel Ian's mind. Hearing this voice, Angel Lan was shocked. She came back to her senses, and a smile appeared on her face. Chen Hao. It seems that my intrusion was discovered by you. I'm really sorry. Chen Hao's voice sounded. You are Angel Ling's sister. Angel Ling sacrificed a lot to protect me before. For her sake, I won't do anything to you. But I hope you can be polite and don't go too far. Chen Hao's deep voice contained a hint of warning. Hearing Chen Hao's words, Angel Ian's heart moved. I have to admit that I can't invade your information database and can't see any of your information, but, you think you will be my opponent in combat? What? I am a battle angel of the angel civilization. Hearing this, Chen Hao said lightly, if you want to try it, you can try it too. The indifferent voice revealed casualness and indifference, and in this indifference, there was extreme confidence. This kind of confidence made Angel Lan slowly put away her smile, and she frowned slightly. Chen Hao was too lazy to continue chatting with Angel Lan. He had already said what needed to be said. Chen Hao was lying in the bathtub, raising his head and looking at the ceiling above. Angels like Angel Orchid are not impossible to deal with. Just get a little insect swarm and it could easily overwhelm her. Chen Hao currently owns 17 Zerg warships, each of which has 5 million Zerg warriors. The number of Zerg warships that this number can create is an astronomical number. If she wanted to fight Angel Lan, the insect tide composed of these Zerg warriors would be enough to teach her a lesson. However, Chen Hao did not intend to do this. Although Angel Lan is rude, she is still more or less Angel Ling's sister, giving Angel Ling some face. Chen Hao chose not to take action, but warned her with words. This warning should make her a little more honest. Chen Hao slowly closed his eyes. When I first met this guy named Angel Lan, I thought Angel Lan had the same personality as Angel Ling, but now it seems that I was wrong. 3 more days passed. Chen Hao was eating in the dining hall. At this time, a beautiful figure appeared next to Chen Hao. Master, this beautiful figure is none other than Little Diamond. Seeing Little Diamond coming back, Chen Hao smiled, done. Little Diamond nodded slightly, they've all been swallowed. Thinking about it, Chen Hao opened Little Diamond's information bar and took a look. Brown dwarf small diamond. The mass is 31 Jupiter masses. Seeing this, Chen Hao's eyebrows stretched. Chen Hao remembered that when the small diamond first arrived, its mass was 16 Jupiter masses, and now it is 31 Jupiter masses. It has improved a lot, but it is still far from a real star. Above the brown dwarf is the real star, and of course the smallest star, the red dwarf. A red dwarf needs to reach 80 Jupiter masses to have a chance of becoming a red dwarf. But now Little Diamond is still far behind. Chen Hao looked at Little Diamond. What do you think your current strength is? Is it enough? When Little Diamond heard this, she grimaced and shook her head, not enough. Hearing this, Chen Hao nodded slightly. Little Diamond has the ability to predict the future. She has no way of knowing exactly what the future will be like, but she will definitely encounter a very powerful enemy in the future. Little Diamond can sense the strength gap between himself and the future enemy. But now, Little Diamond is not strong enough. Chen Hao said, go and rest first, and I will call you after the next planetary system. Little Diamond nodded slightly, then, Master, I will go back to the room to rest first. Hearing this, Chen Hao nodded slightly. Diamond walked away. Chen Hao looked at Little Diamond's back, his eyebrows slightly stretched. Master, not long after Little Diamond left, Chen Hao had just taken 2 bites of food when he heard the voice. Chen Hao looked at the source of the sound and saw a little boy walking towards him with a solemn expression. He walked up to Chen Hao, put his hand on his chest, gave a slight salute to Chen Hao, and said, Master. Chen Hao looked at Chen Huang and smiled, what happened? Are you in a panic? Chen Huang frowned and looked at Chen Hao, Master, the people from the Zerg civilization are here again. As he spoke, he took out the projector and waved his hand. The sphere projector flew up and onto the table, projecting a 3-dimensional projection image. Through the projected image in front of him, Chen Hao could see the planetary system he was currently in. In the middle of the planetary system is a yellow dwarf star, and the God Realm star is rotating around the yellow dwarf star. And just 3 light years away from here, more than 20 warships are flying towards the side along a blue channel. When Chen Hao saw this, he frowned slightly. Those guys from the Zerg civilization are really what Angel Ling said. No matter how many they kill, endless Zerg warriors will come this way. Chen Huang said, Master, I have observed that the Zerg fighters in these more than 20 battleships are all first-generation Zerg fighters. There are no second-generation Zerg fighters, and there are no third-generation Zerg fighters. These should be used as cannon fodder by the Zerg civilization. But, this number is too much. Now that Sister Ling is seriously injured, she cannot use the Sword of Judgment to clear out those Zerg warriors on a large scale like before. Chen Huang frowned, I'm afraid it won't be that simple this time. Hearing this, Chen Hao touched his chin. Don't worry. Suddenly, a voice sounded. Hearing the sound, Chen Hao looked at the source of the sound. I saw Angel Lan flying in from the balcony. She stood on the balcony, retracted her wings, and entered the dining hall. Her eyes swept across the crowd, and then landed on Chen Hao. She smiled and said, Don't worry, Ling and I are here, these bugs can't make any big waves. Hearing this, Chen Hao looked at Angel Ling. Angel Ling, have you recovered? This time there are more Zerg warriors than last time, but if Angel Ling and Angel Lan attack together, it will probably be easy. But, Angel Bell was cured? Angel Lan smiled, no, she hasn't recovered yet. The main force this time is me. There was confidence in her eyes. I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 455. Back to the point. Chen Hao sat on the chair and looked at Angel Lan. This insect tide is coming for us. They will not actively attack you as an angel. Angel Ling wanted to help me at first to maintain the balance of the universe and protect the weak. What about you? Chen Hao looked at Angel Lan. You come to help, also to protect the weak. Angel Lan looked at Chen Hao. She smiled. I don't like the insects of the Zerg civilization. This reason, I think, should be enough. Hearing this, Chen Hao nodded slightly. Enough. Chen Hao did not need to accept help from others in vain, so he chose to make it clear, and now after hearing Angel Ian's explanation, it was clear. This explanation means that she is not helping, but she hates the Zerg civilization, so she decided to intervene. In this way, Chen Hao doesn't care. Chen Hao looked at Chen Huang. How long do these Zerg warriors expect to arrive? Chen Huang said, I calculated the time. According to the time, they will appear near us in about 6 hours, that is, this evening. Hearing this, Chen Hao stood up and looked at Chen Huang. Do you know the location of the exit of their warp engine channel? Chen Huang nodded slightly. Chen Hao said, take me there. Yes, Chen Huang stood up. Chen Huang raised his hand and opened a warp channel, then looked at Chen Hao. Master, the exit of this warp channel is where those Zerg warships will arrive later. Yes, Chen Hao stepped through the warp channel. Chen Hao only felt a black and bright in front of his eyes. Chen Hao came back to his senses again. He came to the universe and looked at this vast space. To be honest, the Zerg tide composed of more than 20 warships sent by the Zerg is actually a bunch of cannon fodder. It is too easy for Chen Hao to deal with these cannon fodder. But Chen Hao is idle now, so he plans to play something else. Thinking about it, Chen Hao summoned the Universal Book and took out cards from it. These cards are exactly the cards of those Zerg warships. What are you doing? Suddenly, a voice came. Hearing this voice, Chen Hao looked at the guy who was talking next to him. Angel Lan was seen flying in the air with her arms around her chest, looking at Chen Hao with a hint of doubt in her eyes. Chen Hao glanced at her, retracted his gaze, and threw the cards forward. After the stacks of cards flew out, they turned into white light. The white light fell into the universe and turned into substance. Zerg warships appeared in this universe. Seeing the cards turn into these huge Zerg warships, Angel Ian's pupils suddenly condensed. Angel Lan raised her hand, and a long sword appeared in her hand out of thin air. She frowned and looked at Chen Hao. What is your relationship with the Zerg? Chen Hao turned his head to look at Angel Lan. He noticed Angel Ian's sight and the vigilance in her eyes. Chen Hao said calmly, they sent a Zerg tide to kill me. What do you think is my relationship with them? But why can you summon a Zerg warship? Angel Lan stared at Chen Hao, frowning. Chen Hao looked at Angel Ian's vigilant eyes, and said calmly, whether I can summon a Zerg warship is none of your business. I have already told you about my relationship with the Zerg. Believe it or not. Chen Hao was too lazy to waste words with Angel Lan. After leaving the sentence, he opened a warp engine channel and was about to leave. Suddenly, Angel Ian's figure stood in front of Chen Hao, preventing Chen Hao from entering the channel. Chen Hao frowned. The angel in front of him made Chen Hao a little impatient. Angel Lan stared at Chen Hao. You must explain this matter clearly. Don't think about leaving before you explain it clearly. This guy, after seeing Chen Hao summon a Zerg warship with her own eyes, she now suspects that Chen Hao has a relationship with the Zerg civilization. Chen Hao frowned slightly, and he was a little impatient. Lan suddenly, a voice came. Chen Hao came back to his senses, and he looked to the side, where Angel Ling was standing. She looked at Angel Lan. Chen Hao's Zerg warships were the Zerg tides that attacked the God Realm star before. Those Zerg tides were turned into cards by Chen Hao using some kind of technological ability. Although I don't know how he did it, these Zerg tides have been tamed by him. Angel Ling said this. She paused, and looked at Angel Lan. I can guarantee that Chen Hao and the Zerg civilization are hostile, don't misunderstand him. Hearing Angel Ling's explanation, Angel Ian's frowned eyebrows relaxed slightly. She put away the sword in her hand, and then looked at Chen Hao. So that's it? Angel Lan looked at the warships hovering in the universe, her eyes glowed with a glimmer. Such a large warship turned into a card, and the life inside the warship can also be tamed. It's really a technology I've never heard of. Can you get out of the way? Chen Hao suddenly spoke. Angel Lan came to her senses when she heard this and looked at Chen Hao. Chen Hao frowned and stared at Angel Lan. Angel Lan turned slightly to make way for the warp engine channel. Chen Hao stepped forward and left through the engine channel. Angel Lan looked at the place where Chen Hao disappeared, and she saw Angel Ling again. It seems that you haven't tamed him yet. Angel Ling frowned and looked at Angel Lan. Lan, I told you before, don't provoke him. Hearing this, Angel Lan smiled. I did promise you not to provoke him, but if he may have some relationship with the Zerg civilization, then I can't let it go. Besides, how do I communicate with him? It's also my freedom. Angel Ling looked at Angel Lan. She withdrew her gaze and disappeared from the spot. Looking at the place where Angel Bell disappeared, Angel Lan slowly put away her smile. A comrade who has been a comrade for thousands of years, but looks down on me because of a man. It's really unpleasant. Angel Lan said lightly. She raised her face and looked at the more than 10 Zerg warships in front of her. Angel Lan crossed her arms and said, that guy, what do you want to do by putting this pile of things here? Angel Lan was a little confused. By the afternoon of that day, Chen Hao lay lazily on the big bed. He raised his head and looked at the familiar ceiling above, recalling what happened today. Angel Bell and Angel Orchid, both are angels. They are both angels from the angelic civilization, but their personalities are very different. Like Angel Ling, who is very enthusiastic towards Chen Hao, whatever Chen Hao says, she basically caters to him. As for Angel Lan, Chen Hao was full of vigilance, and even Chen Praise could feel a hint of hostility from her. Chen Hao originally had a good impression of angel civilization because of Angel Bell, but now this good impression has been completely destroyed by Angel Lan. In the angelic civilization, there are many lives. Each life is an individual, and each individual has its own thoughts and personality. Is that so? Chen Hao muttered. Master. Suddenly, a light and gentle voice sounded beside him. Chen Hao came back to his senses and looked to his side. At some point, Ziadi was standing there, looking at Chen Hao cautiously. Chen Hao said, what's wrong? Ziadi said, Chen Huang is here. He said that the enemy is coming. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 456. In the room. Chen Huang turned on the 3D projector. Through the image projected by this projector, you can see the extremely vast universe. In this universe, you can see the 17 Zerg warships left by Chen Hao before. At this moment, in the universe 10,000 meters away from the Zerg warships left by Chen Hao, a dark hole suddenly appeared. One after another, giant warships flew out of the black hole. Here they come, Chen Huang reminded. When the first giant warship flew out of the exit of the huge warp engine channel, suddenly, a terrifying laser with a diameter of more than 500 meters was fired from the laser cannon of a Zerg warship 10,000 meters away. This laser hit the hull of the giant warship in an instant. Boom! The fire lit up, and a huge hole was directly blasted out of the warp channel. At this time, other giant warships also began to come out of the warp channel. The 17 warships controlled by Chen Hao, which had already stopped 10,000 meters away from the exit, fired lasers frantically, and these lasers madly bombarded the Zerg warships flying out of the warp channel. After seeing their companions being blown to pieces, the Zerg warships opened their energy shields one after another. All the lasers bombarded the energy shields and were absorbed by the energy. When the more than 20 Zerg warships flew out and stood firm, they also began to fight back. In the middle of this vast universe, you can see the blue energy shield light up, and at the same time you can see those huge diameter lasers, like a storm, moving back and forth between the two warship groups. The light emitted by the lasers makes the surroundings particularly bright. Zerg battleships fighting Zerg battleships. Huo Feng, who was sitting next to her, had her eyes slightly lit up, and a smile suddenly appeared on her face. It's fun. But Huo Feng looked at Chen Hao. Master, can the Zerg battleships on our side beat the other side? Hearing this, Chen Hao shrugged. I don't know, just watch first. Huo Feng nodded repeatedly. The battleship has energy shields, and these energy shields are all supplied by the nuclear energy in the battleship. Normal, nuclear energy is a very powerful energy source and is difficult to be exhausted. So, at the beginning, the battleship with the energy shield turned on can directly use the energy shield to resist the opponent's laser attack. But you have to know that lasers are also driven by nuclear energy, and the destructive power generated by each laser beam is very terrifying. The energy shield was consumed crazily under the laser attack of the rain of pear flowers. As time went by, boom! A battleship exploded in the universe, and the fire lit up, illuminating the surroundings. That was the battleship owned by Chen Hao. After the battleship was destroyed, it glowed white and then disappeared. When the battleship disappeared, Chen Hao could see the universal book in front of him glowing white, and the white light flashed away. In the book card slot that had nothing in it before, there was an extra card, which was the Zerg battleship that had just been destroyed. Space Vehicle Zerg Battleship. Health value, 20%. Seeing this, Chen Hao understood. For the universal book, this Zerg battleship is also a kind of pet. If it is destroyed, it will naturally be taken back directly. It can be taken back, which means that the universal book can also repair them. Chen Hao's sight fell on the projection in front of him again. The battle on the battlefield is still going on. Neither side of the battleship sent out the Zerg tide, and both sides chose to directly bombard each other with lasers. Boom, boom. Accompanied by the light of fire. One by one, the battleships exploded in the bombing. The number of battleships on both sides is decreasing. On the outskirts of the battlefield, two figures flapped their wings, wearing silver armor, and flew into the air. The two of them watched the scene in front of them, their eyes full of surprise. Angel Lan smiled. No wonder he threw those warships here in the morning. It turns out that he used Zerg warships to fight against Zerg warships and watched them kill each other. Angel Ling's eyes were shining, and the corners of her mouth were slightly raised. What a bad thing. Angel Lan heard Angel Ling's voice. She turned her head slightly to look at Angel Ling, and said with a smile, "It seems that your man is still a bit of a thing." Angel Ling was startled. She glanced at Angel Lan, retracted her sight, looked ahead, and ignored Angel Lan. Angel Lan saw this. She shrugged and looked at the battlefield. The warships on Chen Hao's side were exchanging fire with the enemy's warships, but it was obvious that the number of enemy warships was larger and the firepower was stronger, and the number of warships on Chen Hao's side was reduced very quickly. As time went on, the enemy's warships decreased from 26 to 20, while the warships on Chen Hao's side had returned to 0. The remaining 20 Zerg warships were flying towards the direction of the God Realm star. Huo Feng watched the scene through the projection, frowning slightly. Weapon gap. Why can't our warships go so fast? There is indeed an equipment gap, but it is not very big. I think it should be a gap in quantity. Cheng Huang analyzed. Although the opponent only has 9 more warships than us, the firepower will be completely different with these 9 more warships. Hearing this, Huo Fen nodded slightly. Master, do you want me to go? Little Diamond's voice came. Chen Hao looked at Little Diamond, who was standing there gracefully, looking at Chen Hao, waiting for Chen Hao's instructions. Chen Hao smiled, no hurry, someone wants to perform, let them perform first. Little Diamond nodded slightly. Chen Hao retracted his sight and looked at the space projected by the projection. At this time, Chen Hao could see that when the warships flew to the God Realm Star, two figures were lying across the warships. It was Angel Bell and Angel Orchid. Angel Orchid raised her hand, and a long sword appeared in her hand, and her body was growing. In the blink of an eye, Angel Orchid's body changed from the normal human height at the beginning to a giant several thousand meters tall. The long sword in the giant's hand was glowing with hot flames, and suddenly, the flames surged. In her hand, there was a flaming long sword several thousand meters long. Angel Orchid moved her body and pounced on the warship in front. The long sword in her hand swung, and a warship was cut into two pieces with one sword. When Chen Hao saw this scene, his eyes fell on Angel Bell. Angel Ling did not grow in size. She raised the sword of judgment in her hand, and the sword of judgment spit out red flames, and then turned into a 1,000-meter-long red flame sword. She spread her wings behind her and flew over with Angel Lan. Seeing this, Chen Hao remembered the first time he saw Angel Ling. At that time, Angel Ling was a giant angel, but when Angel Ling used her own energy to transform into an energy shield to resist the attack of the warships, she never turned back into a giant angel. In other words, after Angel Ling used her own energy to resist the destructive beams emitted by the Zerg warships to the God Realm Star, her own energy had been consumed a lot. From that time to now, she has never recovered to her peak state, and has always been in a state of insufficient energy. And now Angel Lan is in her peak state, so she uses gigantism. No wonder Angel Lan was so confident after seeing these warships. It turns out that Angel Ling has always been in a weak state. Is this the peak power possessed by the angels of the true angel civilization? Chen Hao felt a little emotional as he watched the Angel Lan waving the thousands-meter-long sword of judgment in her hand, ready to destroy a warship at any time. I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 457. The remaining 20 warships were destroyed in an instant. Angel Lan swept the wreckage of the warships around her, and her mouth curled up, a bunch of cannon fodder dare to be rampant in front of angels. They are really not afraid of death. The long sword in Angel Ling's hand returned to its previous appearance. She glanced at Angel Lan beside her and said, "My body has not fully recovered yet, so I won't stay here any longer." Angel Lan heard it. She looked at Angel Ling and said with a smile, "Leave it to me, you haven't recovered yet, you can go back and rest." Well, Angel Ling didn't say anything more, and her figure disappeared on the spot. At the same time, in the room of the God Realm Star Hall, Chen Hao noticed the black hole opened not far away, and he stretched his eyebrows. Angel Ling walked out of the hole. She looked at the people in the room, and her eyes fell on Chen Hao. She smiled, "I've rested enough and can come back to play with you guys." Chen Hao was startled, and he said, "You haven't recovered yet, right? As for the body, it's almost there. It will be fully recovered in a month at most." Angel Bell smiled and said, "As for energy, it will take at least half a year to recover. This kind of energy recovery can be restored by naturally absorbing stellar energy as long as it doesn't consume a lot of energy. It's just that the time is relatively slow. Now my body can move normally." Angel Bell looked at Chen Hao, her mouth corners raised. "Now there is another beautiful angel. I think I still have to stay by your side, so that you don't have other ideas." Chen Hao's mouth twitched. "I don't know what you are talking about." Angel Bell smiled, "It's good not to know." "Master." Suddenly, a voice came. Hearing the words, Chen Hao looked at Chen Huang. Chen Huang looked at Chen Hao, There are enemies on the battlefield again. Enemy. There are still enemies. Chen Hao subconsciously looked at the image projected by the projection. At some point, a black hole appeared in front of Angel Lan. Angel Lan narrowed her eyes when she saw the black hole. It's the warp engine channel, Huo Feng said. Is someone coming? A figure appeared from the black hole. This is a humanoid life form, covered with a black exoskeleton armor, with a pair of huge dark red compound eyes and a mouthful of sharp teeth. Its hands are wrapped in exoskeleton, with 4 sharp black fingers like blades. After the guy came out of the black hole, it looked at Angel Lan with its huge compound eyes, and the small grid in its compound eyes reflected Angel Ian's appearance. Angel Lan looked at it and raised her proud chin. Another one is here to die. As soon as the voice fell, Angel Lan moved her body and appeared in front of the guy, swinging the long sword in her hand and stabbing the insect man's throat. After Angel Lan stabbed out, she found that the tip of her sword was less than 3 centimeters away from the guy's neck. But with such a distance of 3 centimeters, Angel Lan found that no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't stab in. Her eyes fell on her long sword, and she saw that the insect man was pinching the blade of Angel Ian's long sword with his fingers. Angel Lan narrowed her eyes. What a great strength, but it's useless. As soon as the voice fell, the long sword in Angel Ian's hand was emitting red flames, and the tip of the sword protruded red flames, turning into red sword light, and the sword light stabbed out. However, it stabbed the air. Just in a moment, the long sword was forcibly taken away by the insect man, and the position of the sword light suddenly appeared above the insect man's shoulder. Angel Lan frowned. Damn guy. The long sword suddenly disappeared, and the long sword that disappeared appeared in Angel Ian's left hand at the same time. Angel Lan waved her left hand, and the blade fell on the waist of the insect man. Clang. The blade slid across the waist of the insect man, making a strange sound. Angel Lan stepped back 3 meters and looked at the insect man. The scene in front of her made Angel Ian's pupils tremble slightly. The sword of judgment had just passed through the abdomen of the insect man, but the exoskeleton armor on the abdomen of the insect man did not leave any trace. Angel Ian's pupils condensed, and there was a trace of doubt in her eyes. 4th generation warrior. 4th generation warrior. After Chen Hao heard Angel Ian's words, he looked at Angel Ling beside him with doubt. But Angel Ling's eyes were full of surprise. She heard Chen Hao's voice and looked at Chen Hao. She explained, currently, there are 5 levels of God-making transformation in advanced civilizations, and these 5 levels are divided into 1 to 5 generations. Bai Ling, the most powerful angel king of angel civilization, is the 5th generation. The 5th generation warrior is the most advanced God-making technology known so far. Any known material, including artificial materials, cannot destroy the body of a 5th generation warrior. Among the 7 major civilizations, only the kings of angel civilization and dragon civilization have 5th generation bodies. There are no others. In the angel civilization, most angels have 3rd generation divine bodies, which can be damaged by sharp silver weapons. However, the 3rd generation body heals very quickly. The 4th generation divine body is second only to the 5th generation divine body. Generally, sharp silver weapons cannot cause any damage to this body, but because it is extremely difficult to manufacture, the 4th generation body is only possessed by the kings of advanced civilizations. For example, the demon king of the demon civilization in the 6 major civilizations, the elf king of the elf civilization, etc. Speaking of this, she looked at the projection. The body this guy now has is the 4th generation divine body. It's hard to believe that the Zerg civilization actually sent such a being. Angel Ling frowned. Angel Ian's divine body is 1 level lower than it. As he spoke, the battle on the battlefield had already begun. After the Zergman blocked Angel Ian's attack, it moved its body and appeared in front of Angel Lan, and its claws suddenly stretched out and swept towards Angel Lan. Angel Ian's pupils condensed, and she moved her body and quickly retreated. She dodged the Zergman's claws. Puff, Angel Lan felt a pain in her abdomen. She lowered her head and found that the armor on her abdomen had been broken, and 4 claw marks appeared on the armor, and blood was overflowing. Angel Ian's eyes were shining. Didn't she dodge it? Suddenly, her pupils condensed, and she saw that there was a dark hole where she was just now, and a claw stretched out from the hole. Warp channel? Angel Lan looked forward and saw that the claw swung by the Zergman fell into a warp channel. Chen Hao, who was in the God Realm Star, saw this through the projection. Huo Feng's eyes showed a hint of novelty. When this insect man was fighting, he actually knew how to use the warp channel to attack, making it impossible for people to hide. It's really amazing. Chen Hao subconsciously glanced at Huo Feng when he heard this, then retracted his gaze and looked at the Angel Lan in the projection in front of him. I don't know if this guy can deal with this insect man. I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 458. However, looking at Angel Lan fighting this insect man, it is probably very suspenseful. Angel Orchid's attacks are ineffective against insect men, and insect men's attacks can easily tear Angel Orchid's body apart. On the battlefield, Angel Lan frowned, and she obviously realized that something was wrong. The wings behind Angel Lan flapped, her body turned, and she turned around and ran away. Escape? There was a trace of doubt in Huo Feng's eyes. If Angel Lan wants to escape, can't she just use the warp engine to move? Why use this method of escape? Huo Feng was a little confused. Chen Hao was also a little confused. It's probably because the space is unstable, Chen Zhuang's voice sounded. Chen Hao looked at Cheng Huang. Cheng Huang, who was in the form of a little boy, explained, I heard Ying Long say before that when the warp engine is in use, it needs stable spatial support. Under normal circumstances, space is relatively stable, but if the space becomes unstable, the warp engine cannot be used. Cheng Huang looked at the battlefield. The stability of the space where Angel Lan is located is probably affected by the insect man. Destroyed. When Chen Hao heard this, he looked towards the battlefield. In other words, the warp drive can also be restricted. At the same time, Chen Hao also confirmed one thing, that is, Angel Lan was indeed no match for this 4th generation Zerg warrior. Angel Lan will die if she doesn't help. However, Chen Hao had no intention of helping. Angel Lan gave him a very bad impression. Chen Hao has a good personality and is willing to make friends with polite people, but this does not mean that he has to help some annoying people. He is not that kind. Angel Lan escaped very quickly, but the insect man was even faster. Angel Lan came back to her senses. When she looked back, she saw the claws of the oncoming insect man. Angel Ian's pupils condensed, and she immediately turned around, raised the sword of judgment in her hand, and faced him. Chiang. The claws and the sword of judgment collided. The sword of judgment broke into 2 pieces in an instant. Angel Ian's eyes trembled slightly. Puff sounded along with the sound of flesh and blood being separated. The sharp claws passed over Angel Ian's arm, and in an instant, Angel Ian's right arm separated from Angel Ian's body. Angel Lan moved her body and backed away suddenly, keeping a distance from the insect man. Angel Lan looked at her right hand and saw only a broken arm. Angel Ian's face was pale, and her eyes were looking at the insect man in front of her with panic. The insect man's body moved again, and he pounced towards Angel Orchid. Angel Lan saw the insect man approaching, and there was fear in her eyes. Suddenly, a figure flew from the right. The figure was holding a long sword and stabbed the long sword directly on the insect man's body. The insect man was hit by the force, his body was pressed against by the sword, and he was pushed away. The figure that suddenly interrupted the insect attack was none other than Angel Bell. Angel Bell stopped and glanced at the sword of judgment in her hand. The tip of the sword of judgment was currently pressed against the insect man's chest. However, there were no wounds on the insect man's body. Seeing this, Angel Bell's pupils condensed slightly. Although he knew that this guy had the body of a fourth-generation warrior, Angel Ling was still a little shocked when he personally experienced that the weapon he was proud of could not cause harm to the insect people. Seeing that the attack had no effect, Angel Suzu moved her body and quickly retreated. She turned her face sideways and looked at Angel Lan. "Can you build a warp engine to escape?" Angel Lan shook his head. "This guy has been prepared for a long time. It destroyed the stability of this area of space. My Tianlan is unable to build a warp channel." Hearing this, Angel Bell frowned. "Escape? We are no match for it. We must escape from this unstable space, go to the outside world, and then use the warp engine." Angel Lan nodded. Angel Ling's eyes fell in front of the insect man, and she said, "If you want to escape, you must contain it, otherwise no one can escape. Your weapon has been destroyed, and you have now lost your ability to fight. You run, and I will contain it." Angel Lan was startled. She frowned and wanted to say something, but after looking at her broken arm, she nodded slightly. "Be careful." As she spoke, Angel Lan spread her wings and she quickly flew outside. Angel Bell holds the sword of judgment and stands in front of the insect man. The insect man moved, and it flew towards the Angel Bell. Angel Ling spread his wings behind him and quickly avoided it. Angel Bell did not dare to confront the insect man head-on, because the insect man's attack was too strong. No matter what Angel Bell used to defend himself, that thing would be destroyed. Therefore, Angel Bell can only choose to avoid. But dodging obviously has no effect. The insect man's speed is faster than Angel Bell's. When Angel Bell runs, it chases him, and its attack is like a violent storm, quickly leaving scars on Angel Ling's body. Angel Bell was avoiding. She frowned, and with the help of her own skilled combat experience, she narrowly avoided the insect attacks again and again, and she was trying her best to avoid her vitals being attacked. But under the absolute speed of suppression and attack, no matter how strong Angel Bell's combat experience is, there will still be flaws. Angel Bell's pupils condensed. It's over. Through Angel Ling's field of vision, you can see the insect man's sharp claws hitting Angel Ling's head. If you are hit by this claw, you will definitely die. Angel Lan, who had already run away, turned around to see the scene. Her expression changed slightly. "Ling." She turned around and flew towards the side. But, it was obviously too late. At this time, a figure broke into Angel Bell's field of vision. Bang, the sharp claw slapped the person's head. Angel Bell saw the figure of the person clearly, and she opened her mouth slightly. "Chen Hao." The person was Chen Hao. Seeing Chen Hao's appearance, Angel Lan, who was rushing over here, stopped moving. She stared at the scene blankly, and her eyes were shining. How is this possible? Chen Hao stood in front of Angel Bell, and he stared at the insect man in front of him. The insect man's sharp claw slapped on Chen Hao's head, but it had no effect at all. Angel Lan opened her mouth slightly. "Use your body to bear the sharp claws made of silver? And there is no injury at all." The insect man retracted his claws, and then swung his claws again, slapping Chen Hao's face. The four claws, as sharp as blades, swept towards Chen Hao's face. Chen Hao still stood still, letting all these attacks fall on him, and he didn't even raise his eyelids. Chen Hao raised his hand slowly, holding a card in his hand. This card was the Star Catcher ring card. Chen Hao waved his hand. "Transform." The Star Catcher ring card glowed slightly, and turned into a silver ring, which surrounded the body of the insect man. Chen Hao was still a little interested in the fourth-generation body. He wanted to see if he could catch one with the Star Catcher ring. The insect man's body was bound by the silver ring. It looked at the silver ring surrounding itself, and its muscles swelled, and its bound arm suddenly exerted force. Bang! The Starcatcher ring suddenly exploded and turned into dots of silver light. Seeing this, Chen Hao was slightly startled. Failed. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 459. After the star-catching ring was broken, it turned into a card and condensed in front of Chen Hao. Chen Hao looked at the star-catching ring card in front of him, stretched out his hand, put away the card, and his eyes fell back on the insect man in front of him. A screen appears, through which you can see the bug information. Health value, 100%. Is it because this guy is too healthy? Chen Hao, a voice came from beside him. Chen Hao came back to his senses and turned his face to look at Angel Bell beside him. Angel Bell was looking at him. Chen Hao said, "You go first, just leave this guy to me." Chen Hao could ignore Angel Ian's fight with the insect man, but Chen Hao would not agree to watch Angel Ling being killed. The reason is simple. What Angel Bell has done can be regarded as a friend. Seeing a friend being killed, no one would agree. Angel Ling blinked, looked at the insect man, and nodded slightly. She said, "This guy has a 4th-generation body. My attacks have no effect on it. If you stay here, I am just a burden. I can only look at you, so be careful." Hearing this, Chen Hao nodded slightly, withdrew his gaze and looked at the insect man. Angel Ling noticed Angel Lan standing not far away, and she flew towards Angel Lan. Seeing Angel Ling coming over, Angel Ian's eyes shone. What is his body made of? He can actually resist the attacks of 4 generations of Zerg warriors without any injuries. Who is he? Hearing this, Angel Ling turned sideways, looked at Chen Hao's back, and said, "He is the chosen one." Selected, Angel Lan looked at Angel Ling in confusion. Angel Ling was about to speak when suddenly, a voice sounded in her mind. "You and Angel Lan should stay away from each other." It was Chen Hao's voice. When Angel Bell heard this, she looked at Angel Lan. "Let's leave here first." Yeah, Angel Lan nodded. Other side. The battle begins. The insect man's combat power was off the charts, but his IQ was obviously lacking. It did not change its fighting method and continued to attack Chen Hao. Chen Hao didn't think much, he raised his hand. Change. There is one more card in Chen Hao's hand. It's the little diamond card. Chen Hao waved his hand. The card flew out and lit up with white light. The card takes the form of a small diamond. As soon as diamond appeared, she noticed the bug man. Her eyes fell on Chen Hao. "Master." Chen Hao looked at little diamond. "Solve it?" Little diamond's eyes glowed with a hint of luster. She nodded slightly and then looked at the insect man. At this time, the bug man also noticed the small diamond. Seeing that the attack was completely ineffective against Chen Hao, its eyes fell on little diamond. It moved its body and swept towards little diamond. A sharp claw waved. The little diamond, who was the same size as a little girl, was cut into 2 pieces by the sharp claws. The whole body was shattered like a diamond. When Chen Hao saw this scene, his eyebrows stretched slightly. After little diamond's body was broken, the broken pieces glowed with brown light. It turned into brown light balls, and the light balls quickly condensed into a ball. When the insect man saw this, its huge red compound eyes reflected the light of the ball of light. It roared angrily and rushed towards the ball of light. He intended to smash the ball of light directly into pieces with his sharp claws. However, the brown ball of light grew larger in an instant. The ball of light expanded at an extremely fast speed. During the collision, Chen Hao and the insect man were swallowed up by the brown ball of light. After Chen Hao was swallowed by the ball of light, What he saw with his naked eyes was pitch black and he could not see anything. Chen Hao closed his eyes and opened the shared vision of Little Diamond. Through Little Diamond's shared vision, Chen Hao could see that the brown ball of light continued to expand. Looking inside, you can see your body inside the light ball. The location of his body was still pitch black, and at the same time, he could see that in addition to himself, the insect man was also inside the brown light ball. Suddenly, Chen Hao saw his body disappearing from the same place. Seeing this, Chen Hao was startled. Who teleported my body? It's a small diamond to be able to do this, but doesn't it mean that the space around here is unstable? Little Diamond forcibly stabilized the space. Realizing this, Chen Hao came back to his senses and opened his eyes again. Looking into his eyes, Chen Hao could see an extremely huge brown ball of light right in front of him. Suddenly, the brown ball of light transformed from the form of a ball of light into the form of matter. A wave of hot air came towards him. An extremely huge brown dwarf star appeared in front of Chen Hao. At the same time, with the help of Xiao Diamond's vision, Chen Hao could see the insect man in the light ball before he had time to react. When the ball of light turned into a brown dwarf, the insect man's body was instantly enveloped in scorching flames. Ah! The insect man let out a scream, and the fourth-generation divine body, which was so hard that even sharp silver weapons could not destroy it, decomposed at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, the entire divine body was directly vaporized into a plasma state in the terrifying high temperature of the brown dwarf, and merged with the brown dwarf. Chen Hao closed Little Diamond's vision. He looked at the scorching brown dwarf in front of him, and his eyebrows stretched. Little Diamond's human form is just a form that she habitually uses. In fact, that human form is not her real body. If you insist on saying so, it is just a clone of her. Therefore, destroying that clone by the bugs will not cause any harm to Little Diamond. Of harm. If you want to destroy Little Diamond, you have to destroy Little Diamond's brown dwarf. Brown dwarf, the girl named Little Diamond just turned into a brown dwarf. A voice of surprise came from the side. Chen Hao came back to his senses and looked at the speaker beside him. After taking a look, Chen Hao noticed that he was teleported to Angel Lan and Angel Ling by the Little Diamond. At this moment, Angel Orchid was staring with eyes wide open, her mouth slightly open, looking at the Little Diamond that turned into a brown dwarf with an unbelievable look. Angel Ling's eyes were glowing, and she looked at Chen Hao. Are you okay? It was estimated that she had just been swallowed by a ball of light, so Angel Ling was worried about Chen Hao. Hearing this, Chen Hao stretched his eyebrows. I'll be fine. Angel Ling nodded slightly and looked at the brown dwarf. Little Diamond's body looks bigger than before, and its mass is also much larger. Of course, the Little Diamond swallowed up a bunch of gas giant planets and gained a lot of mass. But Angel Ling looked at Chen Hao. I just saw that Little Diamond's body was chopped into pieces. Is she okay? Hearing this, Chen Hao withdrew his gaze and looked at the brown dwarf. The brown dwarf is the original body of Little Diamond. The previous body was just a clone she transformed into in order to follow me. It's useless to chop that thing into pieces. The brown dwarf glowed with light and turned into a brown ball of light, which quickly shrank. In the blink of an eye, it transformed into a humanoid form and landed in front of Chen Hao. The light dissipated, and the small human-shaped diamond appeared in front of Chen Hao. She slowly opened her eyes, revealing her diamond-like eyes. She stared at Chen Hao. Master, it's done. I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 460. Chen Hao showed a smile. Well done, the problem is solved, you can go back first. Little Diamond nodded slightly, and her figure disappeared. A life form that can turn into a brown dwarf is really unbelievable. In this world, there is such a thing, planetary life. Angel Ian's voice came with a hint of wonder. Chen Hao glanced at Angel Lan and saw that Angel Lan was looking at the place where the little diamond disappeared, unable to recover. Chen Hao withdrew his gaze and looked at Angel Ling. Then the enemy has been dealt with, it's time for me to go back. Angel Ling showed a smile and looked at Chen Hao, thank you for saving me. If it weren't for you, I would have died. As an angel, my duty is to protect the weak. We have always protected others in this universe. During this time, I have been protected by you 3 times. Angel Ling looked at Chen Hao, her eyes full of love. Now I feel a little regretful that I didn't give my body to you. The corner of Chen Hao's mouth twitched. Pull him down, take care of your own body and your comrades first. With that said, Chen Hao looked at the claw marks on Angel Ling's body, and then looked at Angel Ian's broken arm. It's okay, Angel Ling said with a smile, I just have a flesh injury and will recover soon. As for Angel Lan, it will take some time for her to recover, but she can recover. Chen Hao nodded slightly, as long as it's okay, I'll leave first. Yeah, Angel Bell responded. Chen Hao's figure disappeared from the spot. Seeing Chen Hao, Angel Ling pursed her thin lips. She turned sideways and looked at Angel Lan beside her and said, do you still think the man I like is bad? Angel Lan came back from her thoughts. She looked at Angel Ling and noticed the playful smile on Angel Ling's face. Angel Lan said, that guy, what's going on? Is he a 4th generation god? Hearing this, Angel Ling looked at Angel Lan, I told you, he is the chosen one. In my opinion, his body is not a 4th generation body, but as for what it is, I'm not sure. Angel Ling folded his hands under his chest and said, the reason why he has the technologies you see now, because he was chosen by a high-latitude civilization. High-latitude civilization, Angel Lan was stunned. She frowned, how is it possible? Aren't those guys in high-latitude civilizations already breaking through the limitations of time and space? For those guys, they look at our world as if we are looking at the creatures on paper. How could they be interested in getting involved in this world? Angel Ling stroked her chin and shook her head, no one knows what the existence of high-latitude civilization is thinking. When Angel Lan heard this, she said, if he is really selected by a high-latitude civilization, then the technology he will possess will affect the balance of the entire known universe. If this kind of technological power is used for bad purposes, that would be a huge disaster for the known universe. If used well, it can also bring benefits to this universe, Angel Ling added. She looked in the direction of the God Realm Star, I believe in him, he can make good use of that power. Angel Lan frowned and looked at Angel Ling, are you willing to believe? Yeah, Angel Bell nodded. Angel Lan said lightly, what you want to believe does not mean that the entire angel civilization is affected. The technology he possesses may already affect the balance of the entire universe. This matter needs to be consulted by my king and let him make a decision. Angel Ling was startled, and she nodded slightly, you are right, I really should tell my king about this matter. Angel Lan glanced at Angel Ling and looked away, don't let your feelings affect your judgment. You are a battle angel of the angel civilization. With that said, she flapped her wings and flew away. Angel Ling looked at the direction Angel Lan was leaving. She frowned, flapped her wings, and followed. That evening, Chen Hao sat on the vine chair on the balcony, looking at the clouds in the sky that were dyed crimson by the sun. He was thinking. Today's small diamond has a mass of 31 Jupiter masses. It is still 49 Jupiter masses short of a true star red dwarf. Only with a mass of about 80 Jupiters can it be possible to ignite hydrogen and undergo nuclear fusion to become the smallest star, a red dwarf. There is a transparent sphere in front of Chen Hao. The sphere displays a three-dimensional projection image, and various celestial bodies can be seen in the image. In the middle of the sphere is where Chen Hao is at the moment, which is also the current location of the God Realm Star. Chen Hao observed through this three-dimensional image to see if there were any nearby celestial bodies suitable for small diamonds to swallow. As the Zerg civilization attacked again and again, Chen Hao realized that those advanced civilizations were becoming stronger and stronger. Maybe, at some point, even the strongest beast-controlling diamond that he owns will be unable to withstand it. The universe is really big enough, Chen Hao muttered. In such a big universe, there are civilizations of their own, and civilizations have various technologies. Technology has given birth to many powerful beings. Forget it, never mind this. Even if there is no Zerg civilization, little diamonds must be well cultivated. Chen Hao was very interested in watching the little diamond evolve into a star. Chen Hao looked at the projection in front of him and looked for nearby celestial bodies. This is... Suddenly, Chen Hao's eyes were attracted by a celestial body not far from here. It was a brown dwarf star like a small diamond. The brown dwarf is surrounded by 3 rocky planets, forming a planetary system with the brown dwarf as the center. These 3 rocky planets are very small in size and mass, and the smallest one is even as big as the moon. Such a small rocky planet cannot even retain any atmosphere, and naturally cannot produce life. The mass was too small, and Chen Hao was not very interested. The reason why Chen Hao's sight was attracted was mainly because of the brown dwarf star. Chen Hao opened brown dwarf's information panel and glanced at it. Brown dwarf unnamed planet. The mass is 16 times the size of Jupiter. Seeing this, Chen Hao's eyes suddenly lit up. A smile suddenly appeared on his face. Perfect. Now that little diamond has a mass of 31 Jupiters, she already has the ability to swallow brown dwarfs that are less massive than her. There are only 16 Jupiters in this brown dwarf, which makes it a perfect candidate to devour. The distance is 604 light years. Chen Hao frowned slightly. It's really far. Chen Hao stretched his eyebrows. However, if you borrow Angel Bell's warp engine, this distance is not a big distance. Thinking of this, Chen Hao suddenly smiled. The 10,000-fold warp engine is a good thing.